welcome into our special edition of House of the Dragon podcast for shared screens. We got a full cast here again. We got It's Per Chance.
What's up? I just accidentally declined my chair.
Okay. And we got Vegas Girl on Fire, episode 4, King of the Narrow Sea. Chance, what did you think, man?
I like this episode. We were talking right before we pressed record about how it's a little bit slower of a burn of an episode, and it is kind of nice to like take a step back. I think you were the one that said like it didn't feel like a lot happened in this episode, but a lot happened in this episode. So I don't know. It's getting more into the game, as you will. Very exciting.
Yeah. Vegas, did you like the episode?
Absolutely. Excited to see a nice sex episode, you know.
Yo, so much sex.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, a lot of sex today. Yeah, I liked it. I think it was you who said this, Chances. It was a slow burn. A lot of, like I just said before the recording, a lot of chess pieces kind of being maneuvered into positions. Nothing of consequence necessarily happened in this episode, but I think the people are in play now with certain alliances to just explode like in a catalyst later down the line. So very, very interesting. It was cool to see like the spy network again, all that stuff. So we're just all the little intricacies of the world. Another play that was dope as well. But yeah, I thought it was a very, very cool episode. Not as battle heavy as last week's, but it's still, there was a lot of subtlety going on. So I thought it was very, very cool. But yeah, let's just jump into the plot and we'll go, just bounce around wherever we feel like we want to go. But yeah, the episode started off with all of the marriage proposals for Rhaenyra. I don't know which castle they were in, but it looked pretty grand. I don't know if they were on Dragonstone.
It looked familiar. That looked like where Daenerys had like been holding council in like one of the later seasons. Maybe that's just what it looked like to me. Probably not the case, but it looked like a very grand castle.
Yeah, it looked like Dragonstone, and then she had like old dudes hitting her up. She had young dudes hitting her up. I think just and obviously she has like a duty to perform their own, but yeah, I thought it was interesting of like, man, everyone's just shooting their shot, I guess, like just to angle for any political power, even if they don't have good proposals necessarily. So what do you guys think about that? About that?
As the famous hockey player once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. They're just out there full on, just throwing it as far as they could. I really liked the little kid in this scene that was like 12 or 13 that went before, and then like to see him like actually hold it up, and it's like, oh. I thought when they turned around he was going to be like beheaded or something, and he actually like got one off on that guy and killed him. So I really liked that. Yeah,
Vegas, what did you think of this scene in particular with
I thought the format was a little interesting. It seemed like because she was there that people would have to be like respectful, but there was just like heckling of all the suitors. Just guys on the side like, you fucking suck, and they're like, excuse you, I'm trying to get the princess right now. It was just very weird for me. But yeah, I did like when the kid killed that guy.
You see him fall over first and like get back up like in the background of the shot. It was really cool.
He's like, no, I will protect the princess.
Yeah, it was interesting, one, because they allude to it being a tour, so I assume she's like going just to different spots around the kingdom, and then everyone from that general area kind of hits him up, and so that was fascinating. Yeah, it was weird.
Nice little Tinder of the old ages.
I would love to.
You literally swiping right and swiping left. There's people. Besides, I wonder what that.
I would love to like hear the pitch on like how they got all the cities on board, like the king when he was like organizing all of this for the princess. Like, all right, so we need somewhere nice, and they're like, you can't have the throne room, and they're like, just second throne room, and just like all the bartering that had to happen for this tour to like take place.
Yeah. Again, the logistics of it, I love when they get into that details. Yeah, all the different locations. Obviously, it took months to organize this, and then they were on the tour for months, so it's been a while. It's not something like just happens immediately. Yeah, the young lord, I guess, I don't know, I can't remember what his name was, but
It was
yeah,
Blackwood, right? Was his last name?
yeah, 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 he kicked some butt, so that was super cool to see. Yeah, I don't know what the protocol is. I guess in that world, right, there is really no protocol because you can just yell whatever you want.
It
I
was
hope that
very
guy.
interesting though, because I feel like if you're able to suit the princess, like be one of her suitors, that you'd be somebody that just can't be heckled. But like these were just like dudes that nobody cared about insulting.
I
Yeah,
kind of
This
took it
is
as
yeah,
really
like
weird.
all of the bachelors were just there like presenting their case, and so like you had a mix of everybody, and then like
So they're all just
yeah, that's
making fun of each other.
yeah. I kind
I
of
thought
got
they were just random hecklers on the side. I'm like, what's going
I
on?
think it was
Why is
other
everybody
suitors.
just
Yeah, just trying to like make their claim
talking
look better
shit?
or whatever.
definite
Um,
frat boys on that side. All of the
yeah,
gnomes.
yeah, and I wonder what's gonna happen to that the kid because he did kill somebody. I mean, it looks like a fatal wound. I don't know what the
Nobody
protocol
seemed to be
is.
that shocked.
Like, is he
Was it
gonna go
like
to
a
jail now or?
was it like a duel? Like they had challenged each other because he was like
Yeah, maybe
challenging
it's a
his
duel.
manhood
Yeah,
in front of the princess, and so he's like, "No, this is challenging to a duel." Instead of the pistols, they just swing on each other.
yeah. So yeah, maybe nothing happens because the guy that rushed to his aid looked like his dad or something. So I don't know. That was very cool. But yeah, Rhaenyra's not having it. She does not like her matches, so she's going home. She is not signing up for Bumble Premium. And we cut to King's Landing, and we see the King of the Narrow Sea, as he is now called, Daemon Targaryen. He returns for the first time since the pilot, so he's never been back since a couple years at this point. So it's a pretty grand return, but the mood is icy. Nobody knows how to react to Daemon returning and how Viserys is going to act, especially after they had the falling out. But I thought it was interesting that to me it felt like Viserys played politics. Like he really didn't want to like welcome him back, but he didn't want to cause like a stink either. So he kind of did that little hug, and then they're at the party, and he's like laughing it up. So what you guys think about that scene, Daemon returning to King's Landing after so many years?
I don't like his haircut.
You
I
don't?
liked his haircut.
did
I liked it
too.
better. I liked
I
it
didn't
better.
like it. I didn't like it.
Okay. Okay.
Especially throughout the episode, because then he just kind of presented himself as like a crazy drunk. But
Mhm.
I don't know, something about the haircut just made him seem less like he almost visually he seemed like like not as strong, like a little
Mhm.
defeated, a little disheveled.
I took it
Yeah.
as like he was trying to make himself look more presentable to like the higher courts of like I'm clean cut ish looking
Mm,
now. But I mean that's not how any of them look, so that's like totally just my own like preconceived notions. I did
yeah,
really
they're
feel
almost supposed to look elvish to me,
yeah,
Mm.
100%.
and it took it away.
I did like how both of them were like kind of jabbing at each other, but then once Viserys was like, "All right, let's hug it out. I just want this to be water under the bridge. I'm done with it." And like you see him do that. Late, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. You see like a moment when Daemon sees Rhaenyra and like it clicks of like how he can get back at his brother. Like there's like a moment where like he stares at her and like starts to smile as she walks away. Anyway, I didn't mean
No,
to jump too far ahead.
that's a good point. Yeah. What did you think, Chits, about like the Viserys Daemon dynamic as Daemon returned?
Um, that they were kind of like I really felt like Damon was trying to be a good boy in that moment. Like when I was initially watching it and then looking back at it now, it's like, oh no, he was like starting to play the game a little bit and was like, I don't know, he was making all the right moves to not piss him off, but also like all of it was like underpresented with him pressing all of Viserys's buttons, which I thought was like really well executed. That actor is
Yeah.
just so good. Who plays Damon? I
Yeah.
forget his name.
Matt Smith.
Mhm.
Yeah. The whole crown element of that was like he's wearing the shitty crown, and then he like, and he knows, but then he like it's a crown to give away. Like he's like, hey, like this is yours now. It's like like this is like who's like there now, like since we won this territory back or whatever, like what's going, it's like, oh, nobody's there. It's just a war zone now. It's just like a
2,000
graveyard, like-
bodies. When he said that there was 2,000 bodies nailed to posts to keep like as a warning, I was like, that's a lot of fucking nails, dude. Like, how did you achieve that amount of nails to nail all of those bot nails? That's how my
Right.
brain works.
I guess that's they picked something up from the crab feeder after the war. We then cut to a little party, little afternoon delight. We got the big takeaway I had from this scene was Viserys and Daemon, Rhaenyra and Alicent all kind of grouped up together, having a little chit chat. Again, it felt very much like Viserys was like playing court. Like he was like, "Oh, Daemon, you're so much stronger than me," and like totally. I think one of the interesting things about his character is that, as we've seen through these first 4 episodes, like he laments that, but he still does it. So he's kind of bound to this, and he talks about it in this episode so many times about duty. He's like bound to this duty and this role that he has to play. And so I thought that was interesting. Damon's kind of laughing it up because he knows he is like better in combat and things like that. And then what I thought was super interesting was Alicent was trying to be peacemaker and wanted to show Daemon like new tapestries or something like that. Again, the dynamic between Alicent and how she plays the game, what she thinks is like a good way to kind of mediate sides is not what Daemon or even Viserys is like. They're like, we don't really care about that stuff. Like, we're just gonna go. And then Alicent goes and talks to Rhaenyra, and I just thought that was interesting. What did you guys think about the little party scene here?
I think it was a big scene for showing where Rhaenyra and Alicent's relationship has kind of ended up. That they kind of rekindled their friendship.
I was
in
actually
a way.
pretty stoked about like them rekindling everything and kind of kissing.
Yeah.
After like understanding how long it's been, it's like, okay, this is like the natural progression of this relationship, and like they're both really alone right now and really need each other. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, exactly. I had nothing more to add, but I really enjoyed the fact that they were back together.
Yeah.
They need each other.
Chance, what'd you think? Anything to add there?
I just thought it was really. Usually the way that they handled the queen trying to show off the tapestries like would be handled almost like it in a way that would be distasteful and like wouldn't be as right. But you've seen her kick ass and know how to play the game amongst like the other women, right? And she just doesn't know this side of it yet, and like. I don't know. It just kind of showed to me that like she does know what she's doing, but she still has some to learn. Whereas like in other series, it may seem like a little laughy at her and like, oh, you don't get guys. Like it was that, but it wasn't in that tone, if that makes sense. I really liked that scene and kind of showing where she's at, like in her political game.
Right. Yeah, great point. We get an awesome scene where the party's kind of died down and it's just Daemon and Rhaenyra, and they talk back and forth about a manner of things. But what I really took away was that Daemon said marriage is a political arrangement. And again, the such a big theme of this show is just the different rules and realities that the two different genders have to play in this world. And so for Daemon, marriage is such a cavalier thing to get into, where I mean, throughout history, even in Game of Thrones, like people, men can just have bastards all over the place and it doesn't really matter. Whereas for a woman in this world, right, you get married, you're supposed to, be a virgin, and you're supposed to produce a number of, children for your husband. And so when Rhaenyra, barks back that men get to choose and the women really don't. Again, I thought that was super fascinating. Y'all have anything to add about that little dynamic? I thought that was a dope scene.
I just really liked how headstrong she was about like not following the status quo and being like, all right, then I'm going to live in isolation then and like not have anybody that really cares about me because this ain't it, chief. Like I just really liked that.
Yeah.
We love a strong, independent woman.
And that she is.
And two, as well, Daemon kind of calling her out for living in fear a little bit in terms of Rhaenyra's like, I saw what happened to my mom. Like, I don't want that for me. And, obviously, like, in an ideal world, everybody would get to choose like what they want to do with their life. But it is interesting in that again, with the writing of the show and then with the Daemon character, that like kind of twist of like you're afraid, like calling her out for being afraid of this duty. Like I thought that was on some levels like very insightful, that she is kind of afraid of that challenge. Then it also, like, you could argue that challenge isn't even right anyways. And so
Yeah, she's like, I'm not afraid. She's like, I'm gonna live my life. I just don't want to live that life.
right, right. We get to another little small council meeting, and it is revealed that Lord Corlys has engaged in negotiations with some of the free cities on a potential alliance. Uh, and then we get another scene a little bit later, and we'll go back to the Corlys stuff real quick. But Alicent is staring out of that window, and it looked like a jail cell. Because we're talking about the dynamic between Rhaenyra wanting to choose her fate and Alicent's kind of duty bound in her role as queen, and she's kind of like nursing the baby a little, trying to keep it calm, and she's just staring out the window, and it looked like a jail cell. I thought that was awesome imagery. What did you guys think about did you guys notice that at all too, or what?
I could see the wheels turning in her head of like all of the things that Rhaenyra doesn't want to like have happen to her has happened to the queen, and so like her just like understanding like how quickly it happened to her. And I didn't notice the jail cell behind her, like that imagery. I just was like watching her face, and like you could just, she emoted perfectly in that scene. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, because it was a very purposeful scene where like nothing really happened. It just kind of zoomed in, and she turned around and she's holding the baby, and it was clear that it was just like she's trapped in this situation.
Yeah. So going back, Corlys is engaged with negotiations with the free cities. That again, this dude's wild, and like he, like a member of, like a subservient to the Targaryen crown is negotiating on their own, like an alliance
of the
with
small
like
council, nonetheless. Like,
oh, he quit, but
okay.
yeah,
former member of the small council, like that. I thought was like crazy. Like one of your like homies is now doing this. But
yeah,
I mean,
I thought that was wild.
If you take into account like what happened to his wife, like not receiving the throne, and then like being kind of like, I can see like how that was the last straw, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna do me now. And anyway,
yeah. Vegas, any thoughts on Lord Corlys kind of stepping out under the dragon wing and trying to make some moves on his own again?
Yeah, because his strategy and the what's his name, Otto Hightower's strategy were very different, and basically, like you guys said, once he didn't get his way, he's gonna figure out something better. So he's out there making moves immediately, and he doesn't care what anybody thinks.
Especially after like 3 years of like being in that war and not receiving aid, like
and he was very vocal about it. He's like, I need this, please give me this. And then when he was offering up his daughter as a solution, he was very vocal about everything. He wasn't being sneaky, he wasn't going behind the king's back. He was telling him exactly what he needed, what he wanted, what he should do, and he was just disrespected. And now he's like, well,
he knows
I'm gonna make some other moves.
Yeah, he knows his worth, and that he's not being
exactly
properly valued by Viserys.
Yeah, I wonder if, and this is like just a little wrinkle in the situation, that like I wonder if it was revealed to Corlys that the king was sending aid, and obviously it didn't matter because they were able to win it on. I guess he just was like, well, you're too late. Like we did it on our own anyways. But it's a thought that counts, right?
Did anybody else like think about the way that battle happened and think like y'all could have done this without like having the solo guy come out to draw them all? For just the tactics of like why they had to do it that way, I was like, okay. But I digest.
Yeah,
it's
with that battle, I think it was just like the caves, I guess, were just super intricate, and they were getting picked off one by one when they would go in there. So
100%.
But yeah, that was something that was like you had to like kind of think about it, I guess, a little extra hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, next we get, and I didn't know what was going to happen here initially. I'm always waiting for somebody to get stabbed or anything like that. But when Rhaenyra goes back to her room for the night to retire, she sees like a lump of like street clothes, and she finds a note and she opens it up. She sees this little like hidden diagram design for her room, and there's a secret wall. Again, Maegor the Cruel, who made the Red Keep, he was crafty, man. He was up to so many things. He killed all the people who designed that keep, so nobody would know all those little secret tunnels. But yeah, Daemon is taking Rhaenyra for a night out on the town.
Yes.
Showing her the brighter side of life. A lot of pubs and bars, theater productions, sex dungeons, all that stuff. So how did we feel about that in terms of the relationship between those two characters? What Daemon was trying to go for there, and then how that impacted Rhaenyra, because she had never done that before. What do you think, Chance?
I really liked the way that they were watching the play, and it's very like slanderous towards her, and like really making like a joke at the situation, which she's never heard before. Like growing up in the castle, I'm sure, just people talk about it so freely. And he offers up the advice of like, you have to care about what they think if you want to rule someday. And I thought that was like really salient. And then, we can like get into the rest of the. I did not see the whole sex dungeon thing happening until they started walking down like the opium den hallway, and then it like became very clear. And I didn't know how I felt about it until she like started pursuing him back, and that ending up being the thing that like drove him away. I thought was like actually keen. I won't go too much further than that, but I really thought that there was some salient like advice distributed to her in that sequence. And then I don't know, I have like really mixed feelings about like them hooking up. I called it last episode, and still I just was not ready for that shit.
Vegas, what did you think of Daemon taking Rhaenyra out on the town?
For me, I feel like the whole thing was orchestrated by Daemon, and I feel like he knew exactly what he was going to do and exactly what he was getting out of it the entire time. He took her, and also I just want to point out, I feel like Daemon, this whole scene gave him a lot more depth, because he does seem like he knows what he's talking about, in terms of all the advice he was giving her and saying, you have to care what the people think. He actually has been out there. Like we saw him in the beginning as this kind of tyrant that just does what he wants and blows through, his jobs. But it does seem like he's actually thinking about what he's doing. But I feel like it was very calculated all the way up until they're seen together in the sex dungeon. I feel like that was purposeful too. I feel like he was a little intoxicated, but I feel like he wanted it to look like they did something because of what happens later, and he didn't actually want to do something. To me, it felt orchestrated. So
yeah, for me, it felt like both. Like it was on some level, Daemon wanted to show Rhaenyra like a fun time, and that there's more to life than being kept up in those castle walls and going to small council meetings and doing all of the political duty stuff, and that you can have fun. But yeah, on the other hand too, it definitely was some sort of like, move to, like Allison said, just to discredit Viserys and her as well a little bit. And yeah, he obviously didn't set her up to be spied on, but I wonder if he knew that was a possibility just because of the nature of like the spy networks everywhere.
Yeah, just like what happened to him in prior episodes.
Yeah, in episode
he
1.
knew that somebody was gonna get back to the castle in some way. So
yeah, exactly.
It seemed very planned.
Yeah, and but then even the fact that like he engaged her in like physical contact first, and then when she tried to reciprocate it, he pulled back. So like he doesn't want to actually like
and see, I thought that was a turnoff for him. Like that's how I was taking it. Like he was.
See, it could be that too.
So
it could be that too.
I thought they were like gonna go the distance until that happened, and he was like, that made him like reconsider what was going on, and like I don't know, like that was my whole thing. Is like I thought her being into it was what turned it out.
The thing is I'm confused about Daemon in terms of sexual encounters because of what's already happened. It almost seems like he's got like all these emotional issues, because I remember when he wasn't feeling it at first, and in that first sexual scene that he had, I think it was first episode. Um, and then he just kind of wanted to cuddle or something. Uh, it didn't seem like him dominating that situation was his turn on. So like his sexual situation to me is just confusing.
Now
So
that you're like that,
I
I hadn't even thought about that, but you're like you mentioned that, and like that totally tracks on like there is something else going on, like with his. Anyway, I
yeah,
appreciate
like
you
I
bringing
don't
it
I
up.
don't know exactly what his deal is in terms of what he's into, but I don't know if that was a turn on or turn off type situation. I just feel like he didn't want to do it at all. I feel like it was calculated. But um if that was the case, that just wasn't what he was into, then it seems to discredit like the moves that he makes later with the king.
Mm, yeah, he's a very
Like, is he
interesting.
just winging it? He's like, oh well,
I think he is.
now that everybody thinks.
I think he is winging. I don't think he's as like uh thinking, 4 steps ahead like Otto is or whoever else, but uh and then even just going into the fact that like does he even want the crown? And that's been brought up in past episodes of like does he want to be Viserys and sit on the throne and sit on all the billion of small council meetings? Probably not. So like again, what's he really angling for? Is it just power for power's sake? Um but yeah, going back to the sex dungeon, yeah, it could be like he now that she wanted it, he didn't really want it. But I think again the duality of this character, like I don't think he wanted to sully her as Allison put it. Like he didn't want to really
That's a
like
good point.
he obviously put them in that position to have accusations arise, but then he never like actually followed through all the way. And I feel like that is kind of emblematic of just his character from what we've seen so
Hard to
far.
read. Hard to read.
Yeah.
Right.
It seems
Yes.
like there's literally 3 different directions that we're going with this, and I'm okay with that. Daemon's he's a hard book to read.
Yeah, he's unpredictable. Yeah, so we get the cool theater production, and then the realm, as Damon put it, won't consider Rhaenyra as a true heir. And then the next point I had was Allison does her duty because so we get this juxtaposition of this pleasure house where everyone's just sucking and fucking all over the place,
But you
and then
see Rhaenyra's passion and her like duty, like because they swap almost like back and forth to. Sorry,
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we see all the passion of the pleasure house, Rhaenyra having a fun time, even just observing, and then we cut to Allison just laying there staring at the
Just
ceiling.
like,
Wow.
am I gonna make a third one?
Yeah, while Viserys is going to town.
With all those
That-
gross
which-
sores on his back.
Yeah, that's just so gross. Half his hand's gone now at this point. So what did we think the intentionality was behind the juxtaposition of those 2 shots, Chance?
They have to be leading to something with the queen, like realizing what's happened to her and her fighting back in some way, whether that be helping Rhaenyra or like sabotaging her. I just there's something that they're building towards by showing that and showing her like actually start to think about what's going on in her life. That's what I have a feeling of like is going to happen. I also think it's just to show that because we've only seen Rhaenyra's consequences, we haven't really seen a whole lot of the queen's like just showing those back to back of like, it's not good to be a woman in the hierarchy in this like world. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's not good anywhere, but especially like where you're treated like cattle and traded like fucking playing cards. That's really what I got out of it is like there's no real winning because then you see like the consequences of what happens to Rhaenyra for her actually being a person and like trying to enjoy herself. Like anyway.
Mhm.
Vegas, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, just I mean, right from the beginning of that section of events, the lady comes to wake her up, like, "Hey, King wants you," and she's like, "It's the middle of the night." He's like, "Yeah, it's the middle of the night. You know what's up." Just their faces
The
the
"Hey, you
entire
up"
time. And
text.
oh my god. I love the connections we're making with like Tinder and
Yeah.
current technology of the House of the Dragons. But yeah, just you guys said it all. The duty of the woman sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rhaenyra eventually makes her way back to her house or back to her room in the Red Keep. And she's just, all hopped up on wine and all sorts of other paraphernalia, whatever. And she wants a piece
Yes,
Sir
Queen,
Crispin
get it.
Cole. Sir Crispin.
So
It's
how
actually
did
Sir
we?
Kristen.
How did we
Kristen.
read her going after him? Because I was like wanting it to be like she was always pining after him, or like there was always something there. But then I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was just like, she's feeling herself. She wants to be free. Like this is a good man that she knows isn't gonna fucking tell anybody. Like and she wants to have that moment.
Yeah.
Me, it felt like opportunity.
Okay, see, and
Yeah.
like that's like it was feeling both of them, but I just wasn't sure.
So for me, it was like I did feel some of that energy
Because she's asking
especially-
him and like trying to be playful when he comes back the next morning, and he's like all business, and so like, that's why I was anyway. I digest.
I felt some of that energy from last episode, especially after they had known each other for a few years at that point. And obviously, I think they both enjoyed themselves, but you got to remember there's this power dynamic that Rhaenyra is literally the crown princess.
Yeah,
next in
that's
line
what
to
I
the
thought.
throne.
It was almost like a Me Too moment because he, right at the beginning when she's like taking off his stuff, he just kind of like looks defeated. And I'm
Yeah.
like, girl, like, okay, but
Is this how you want it to happen?
I don't know. Like, he could be killed if this is found out. You're gonna be fine.
He
He's
could
gonna
be
die.
killed. He could be killed for having sex with her, and then he could be killed for not having sex with her. Because I mean, there's so many like examples in real historical context of like people denying,
don't turn down the princess.
people
but
denying
also
people
now
like
you're
that,
fucked.
people going for it, and it both ends up bad on most of the situations. So, yeah,
She popped up on drugs. Like who knew it was gonna happen?
And then she gets the Plan B pill like right after, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If, like
I wrote abortion potion, so like abortion.
I put abortion tea.
Yeah, and then and then Ser Otto is revealed to have been spying on Rhaenyra, the White Worm. So I don't know, is the White Worm Ser Otto, or is that like a Ser Viserys character from Game of Thrones who's like this like network spy master guy? Because they had like that little kid, like the little birds from Game of Thrones. So clearly,
I don't remember that.
There's some sort of network there still. So either way, word gets back to Ser Otto, and
I kind of
he
took it as it was like a network. Like it was, I didn't know if that was a person. I kind of took it more of like that was the network. Is anyway, because they're
like Ser Otto
underground.
hired them. It wasn't his network.
Yeah.
But he had the line where he's like, he has to be in the know and stuff like that because he's hand of the king. So I don't know. Could be either way.
Yeah.
I wasn't under the impression that he was specifically spying on her. I thought he just had spies around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's interesting that spy happened to be right outside of the pleasure house.
I'll be interested
You
to
always
see
gotta
new
check the
rock
pleasure
stars like
house.
find that guy, that kid, in like every shot leading up to.
Oh my gosh!
Like,
Yeah.
Watch Eric Voss do that shit.
But yeah, again, just going back to we talked about this with when they were actually in the sex dungeon pleasure house. Like when you're a Targaryen, when you have like and you have like a position of power, like you just have to act and behave differently. I mean, you can act however you want, but there are going to be more like more consequences to your actions compared
You're damned
to
if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah, so Ser Otto spies on Rhaenyra and Daemon, and then Miss Saria sells out Daemon. So she's like, I'm done in the skin trade, as she called it. I'm turning to the information trade. So she's moving on up. We love to see it. Entrepreneur.
Breaking the glass ceiling.
And Ser Otto reveals the engagement to Daemon, or between Daemon and Rhaenyra, to Viserys. And again, on one hand, obviously he's making political plays, but on the other hand, like again, I just think Reese Ifans, the actor, is just doing an incredible job. Like there was like a measure to his face that like he did feel like he had to tell, regardless of the like he did have to tell him because that could affect the realm. But on the other hand, he is going to gain from that. So what did you guys think about that? The whole play by Otto, and then him actually telling Viserys like that next morning.
I feel like it was kind of like he was doing the bad thing and he got set up to show that he was doing the bad thing, where like he was spying on everybody in the castle trying to like get a leg up, and it just so happened that he caught somebody, but the person that he caught was like, but why is he doing that? Like it just felt not like he was specifically watching for her to do something bad, but that like that's how it just him doing that eventually blew back up in his face. I do think that we have heard about how slimy and schemy he is enough from different characters that it's like, no, he's not above board at this point, and he should go. Like if Daemon and like a bunch of other people are talking, like Daemon's one thing, but then like now your daughter's saying it, like okay,
Yeah.
this guy's got to go.
Yeah, Vegas, any thoughts on that?
It's about time that the king figured it out. And he listed all the things. He's like, wow, like you made your daughter groom me, and I'm just now realizing that you did that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of like one of those situations where sure, it's his job to do those things to make sure that he's got the hot goss, but it was also for his own benefit. Everything that he says seems to help him, and the king's like, look, I'm now realizing that everything that you tell me, everything that you do is like benefiting you, and it happens very quickly.
Yeah.
So get the fuck out.
I won't actually sing it, but in my head I just thought of Josh Groban's "You Raised Me Up," but it said it's you set me up.
You set me up.
Yes.
Why?
We then go back to the Godswood in the Red Keep, and Alicent kind of confronts Rhaenyra about what may or may not have transpired. Again, just we were talking about this before we were recording and at the very beginning, but like just the subtleties of like all of how this is just unfolding. Like she didn't have sex with Daemon, but everyone thinks she does, and it just kind of just spirals out of control. And so Alicent or Rhaenyra is denying the claims, but Alicent makes a good point where she says it doesn't matter.
So she doesn't ever deny it. She just talks around the part that she doesn't like. Because she never flat out says, I didn't sleep with Daemon.
You're right. She says
nothing happened.
She never flat out denies it. She's just like, why does it it doesn't like matter. It's like these accusations are so gross. And then Alicent's like, yeah, that's all, like as long as the accusations are out there, then like that's all that matters, and the conversation is going to be out there. So go ahead, Chad. Sorry, that was a good point you brought up.
Just I don't. It felt really dirty because like you don't want
to swearing on her mom's grave.
Yeah,
she's
like,
swearing on.
You don't want to have
to that. I'm like, you're basically lying.
She's 100% like she's omitting truth, which is like by proxy lying, right? Like that's kind of the way shit works. And then you see her lying to her friend that she has just like gotten back in contact with, and like you can see the friend like not fully believing her, and then by the end of it she knows that she had been lied to. It just was like a really kind of heartbreaking scene to like she shouldn't really have to explain herself because like dudes don't, and like now it's like ruining everything because she's sullied or whatever. But I just keep going back to like how opportunistic it was like for her to go and fuck Sir Cleric or whatever the hell like right after, because like she got a free pat. Like everybody's gonna think I fucked up anyway.
Yeah,
opportunistic is starting to make more sense, Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas, thoughts on this confrontation by Alicent to Rhaenyra?
Oh, she lied to her friend. I was under the impression Alicent believed her, right? Believed her, and then went and talked to the king, and the king's like, no, it did happen. And she's like, no, it didn't. Like, maybe you should go talk to him. Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe I'm getting it confused because by the end of the episode, she knows that she lied. But anyway, yeah, because
Does
now
she?
they. I thought it was like pretty well
Maybe I
known
missed
because
something.
he admits to it, right? Daemon admits to it. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, Daemon
No,
admits to it,
I
and
t-
then they talk.
Well,
I
no-
started trying to connect it, and they don't straight out like say who they think is right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we'll jump. That's the next point actually. So, again, so going back to Visaria, kind of selling out Daemon. Daemon's just going through the world's like worst hangover right now. Like he is
Yeah.
just he is messed up. He denies like the Gatorade and
I felt like he just
McGriddle.
like was too hungover to like really understand what was going on.
But he was like, I don't need like
Okay,
your
fair,
help
fair.
or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but it could be both. Like he could just like, not obviously he's not in the right state of mind right now, anyways. But that does feel of a piece of the arrogant nature of his character a little bit. But yeah, and then he stumbles into the Red Keep, and yeah, he's just looking haggard as heck, man. Like, the King's Guard just hauls him into the throne room, and Viserys there is again waiting in the shadows. Viserys is waiting in the shadows a lot in this episode. He's not on the throne, ready to give him the business. He's like off to the side a little bit again. Viserys accuses Daemon. Daemon doesn't deny it, but he doesn't say I did
Yeah,
it, but he doesn't.
He does the
deny
same
it.
thing Rhaenyra did.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and,
say he didn't
Must
do
run
it.
in
Or
the
did do
family.
it.
and then he's like, he's playing into the accusations by saying, "Hey, let me wed Rhaenyra
Mm-hmm.
so we can further strengthen, our own family, strengthen the bond, and because I sullied her, it won't matter anyways if we're getting married, kind of thing." So just again, this chaotic nature of Daemon is so like, what's his goal here? What's his plan? What did you guys think about this confrontation and then the proposal by Daemon Vegas?
I was pretty shocked. I didn't know that's like I thought that everything was calculated, but not to get to there. I don't know why he wants to start this polygamy family, but I was a little shocked. Shocked. But I feel like everything he's doing is calculated, even though he was like hungover on the floor and just. But it could be just opportunity. Damon, I'm telling you, Damon confuses me. He might just be like in situations and just be thinking like, oh, wow, why don't we just get married? Why don't we just get married?
He
Yeah.
is like a battle guy, right? So he's used to like looking what is right in front of him and trying to figure out that solution, right? Like he's not the king thinking way far ahead. So maybe he is just shooting from the hip, just totally like, well, this is gonna fuck
He's
up
like,
my
oh, I
brother.
accidentally made out with her, then I wasn't into it. Now
Yeah.
I'm here. Should we just get married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just going with the flow.
Chance, what did you think of Damon's proposal? You think that was him just trying to again, sow discord amongst Viserys's, reign, or do you think there was actually some, political savviness to that, or what?
Opinions evolve, things change. You guys have brought in a lot of new takes that I hadn't really taken into account at the beginning of this episode. So, with that being said, maybe he was feeling bad for what he had done to her, and he knows that like he can give her the freedom that she so desires because he's not going to strap her down. Like at some point she is going to have to like produce a child to be heir, but he's not going to be the king that's making her sit in the throne room. Like that's kind of like what was going through my mind, and then having you guys talk about like maybe he was feeling bad about involving her in this plan in the first place when they were at the brothel. Like that's kind of where my mind is leading, is like this is the best plan not only for me like strategically but also for Rhaenyra for her being happy, because as much as he did fuck with her this episode, I do think there's a genuine care there, and when they were kissing I felt like there was genuine like love and passion there as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
As fucked up as it was, it seemed like they both loved each other.
And maybe that's what fucked him up, is he was like seeing how into it she was, and he's like, whoa, I was doing this for like a game. I can't fuck with you like that, because like, anyway, I digest.
Yeah, and again, it brings up the discussion around like incest in the Targaryen family because just throughout the like history of that world, like the faith of the seven like don't like incest, but it was like a custom from the Targaryen family from old Valyria. They kind of like hash it out where the Targaryens allowed to do it, but nobody else can do it in Westeros. But then throughout the show, we like get moments where people are appalled by it, or within the own, within the Targaryen family, and then people who are for it. So I just wonder, what. Not obviously that's not going to be. I mean, it might be just because of all the different alliances, but how's that going to play out at the end of this? Like, is there going to be like a in family marriage, slash alliance? I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, if
So
she goes with the seahorse dude, that's still in family because that's her cousin. Like, so I feel like all of her best options are family members at this point.
Yeah.
Like, like I said last episode, like the brother really like set the tone, so anything less than brother was like tolerant. Cousin's not nearly as bad as uncle or brother.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, cousin, duh. Viserys reminds Rhaenyra of her duties, so they're back. Or Viserys calls Rhaenyra to his bedroom, and he reminds her of her duties, and then it kind of chastises her, but doesn't full on rebuke her. And then he's like, "Yo, like, okay, we're done playing games. You're the political headache now. You're getting married to Ser Cristons Valerian. Done." And so, what do we think of that potential matchup? Again, it is in family. Thanks for the reminder. But it is going to strengthen two of the stronger houses, obviously in Westeros. Do we think this is a good match, politically?
Oh, is it in family?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Like it's.
So Laenor's mom, Rhaenys, is.
For some
Are they
reason I
cousins?
thought.
I don't know if they're
I didn't
brother
know
and
that was
sister.
her son.
yeah, because that was it or was
I thought that was. It's a. Their family.
Yeah, there's some because she calls him her cousin in the episode is like the only reason I remembered that.
Okay.
I feel like that's the best move politically for like what the market town brings to King's Landing, like with it like being the trade outpost. They really can't afford to lose that, and like really securing down that aspect of the kingdom for the next however many years to come is the wisest move. I mean, it was when the king was looking for a new wife, and it still remains that, like, as she's going into it. And I do think that it's going to be one of those surprise things where, like, because he was at war, she really never got to see him at all. But, like, she obviously respects that because of her sworn protector being, like, a combat veteran. And then him loving dragons and, like, them having that in common. I'm really interested to see, like, how they head it off, because it can't go easy, right? Like, either they like each other and the dad doesn't want it to happen, or they're just too alike. Anyway, I'm very interested to see how it works out, but I do think it's the best plan going forward.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a family tree here. So Jaehaerys had a bunch of sons and daughters. Rhaenys is the daughter of Jocelyn Baratheon and Aemon Targaryen. And then Viserys is the son of Alyssa and Baelon Targaryen. So there's like a weird sidestep, second cousins maybe.
Yeah, so that would be a second cousin, which in the United States, third cousin is okay. So, like, we're really, like, I'm just
So
playing.
this is really okay.
Yeah, this is.
If we're talking that time.
This is almost Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting, man. This is a wild family tree here.
It's just a straight line.
Yeah. So next up, Viserys calls Sir Otto Hightower in, Hand of the King, and he's like, "Bro,
You're fired.
You fired. You've been two-timing me this whole time, bruh." He calls him out for a lot of the political machinations that he's been kind of brewing up the last couple of years, and he strips him of his title as Hand of the King.
Just plucks it off his lapel.
Yeah, he just plucks it off. There's a lot that we could go in here in terms of what we could talk about so what do we think of that decision straight up, just to remove Otto? I mean, again, like I was saying earlier, like he has been he has been making moves, but I don't know, for some reason I do feel like there's a part of him that does want to serve the realm. Obviously he
Oh,
does
he is
benefit.
Snake.
He is a
Full
snake.
snake, full snake, full snake, 100% snake.
I think he is a full snake, but I do think he wants to serve the realm. But I think it's like the power has corrupted him at this point. He sees the
He wants to
finish
be
line.
intertwined in the power, and
Yeah.
he knows he's not going to be king or anything, but it's so he's a snake. There's
He's a snake.
no decision that he makes isn't also personal. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, we should do this, but like it's because it'll benefit my line.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with Viserys of the fact that, once Aegon was born, he just, I think naturally would be, compromised a little bit in his judgment, as Hand of the King, because a family member of his is in contention for the throne, or is a candidate potentially. And so I do agree with that. What do we think the fallout of this choice to remove Otto as Hand of the King is going to be? Because I mean, Alicent
Something
is still
surprising.
Alicent is still the queen. I mean, the High Towers are still a very prominent family in the realm.
He's still gonna have his fingers in some shit.
Yeah. Do you think he still gets to hang out at the Red Keep because of Alicent?
I don't know.
You're muted, by the way.
Oops, sorry. Thank you. They did show at the end of the episode like next week, and then they break down some of the stuff in the episode. They did show him getting removed from the castle, so I'm wondering if he pushes it too far, like if he's there for a little bit and then they're like, no, get him out. But like it looks like he's being forcibly removed from the castle.
Okay.
This might cause maybe some strife between Alicent
Because
and the king, or Alicent and Rhaenyra.
She's
in
already
some ways.
the queen already seems super not stoked on the king right now, just because she just had a kid and you're trying to get me pregnant again. Are you fucking kidding me?
And Alicent for kind of like fucking up her reputation, and then they got into an argument, and now Rhaenyra is the reason why her father is pretty much kicked out, because she's the one that was like, get him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting, because I did see a bit of the little next episode preview, and I saw the little scene where Otto's like begging Alicent to like strengthen the claim of Aegon and try to make him heir. And so I wonder if he's going to become more unhinged now that he has nothing to lose, so to speak. But yeah, like again, we've talked about this last couple episodes. Again, I wonder if this is a bad move from the political perspective of removing, even though he's a snake, as 100% snake, as y'all said, it's still, it's kind of bad to remove such a close ally, even if he is a snake, because now he has nothing to lose and he can go against you. Even though Alicent is still the queen, he's just removing an ally, so to speak, right? Just is going to make it more dangerous for you.
So this isn't going to happen because it's, Game of Thrones adjacent or whatever. But what is Seahorse Man's name? I am awful with names. Lionel?
Corlys?
No, his son.
Laenor?
What if they hit it off? Laenor being now the the princess's betrothed joins the small council as that. I don't know. I felt like there's opportunity there. They're never going to take it that direction because it never goes that smoothly. But anyway, I do feel like it's very grave for him to take him off of the High Council, and especially as the Hand, because he did serve 2 prior kings, even if one of them was very short. So it is going to be like a huge transition period.
Well, yeah, it did seem like it's basically like Hightower versus Valerian, and with Hightower out, we can get Valerian's back in. It definitely will not be that smooth, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
they're
do
gonna
we
be
think?
going through some shit.
Who do we think the next Hand of the King's gonna be?
Ooh.
I actually want it to be like the head of the Kingsguard guy, but that's not how that works.
With the nice beard.
Yeah, he has a really
Yeah.
nice beard.
Well, they can't hold titles or sire
see,
children.
like it wouldn't work like that. But
Yeah.
shit, I don't know because I would have thought Daemon if he had,
Amen.
yeah, if he had enough.
But he kicks him
Fucked
out
up.
again.
Yeah,
He kicks
exactly.
him out again. It's like, go back to your freaking house, bro. I've
many
been trying to
times-
send you back there.
The
for
king's just gonna
years.
pin it on himself and be like, I'm gonna be my own hand.
He gives it to the son, just Aegon. He gives it to.
The baby.
He agrees
I
with
wonder.
everything I say.
I wonder if he gives it to like Corlys, to curry favor with him. Maybe
I feel
Lionel
like their
Strong.
relationship is so fucked.
Yeah, maybe Lionel Strong, the kind of chubby beard dude from last episode, who's like,
He was giving him like the real, and like he
Yeah.
actually tells him what. That's actually a
Who
good point
Rhaenyra should
because
marry.
he's already on the small council, but as we've seen in prior episodes in this show and in Game of Thrones, you can shuffle around positions and
Mm-hmm.
and I wonder how much the king is gonna like actually appreciate the fact that he shot him straight and like never tried to like further his best interest. He's like, yeah, I'd be stupid not to mention that, but that's not what I was gonna tell you. I was gonna say that he should marry or she should marry Corlys' son. Anyway.
yeah. Vegas, who do you think should be Hand of the King next?
I think that's the best suggestion.
Yeah,
That guy.
not a Lannister.
Fuck no. It was so jarring seeing him again this episode for that one frame.
Shot. Yeah, yeah.
No.
All right.
Maybe
Decay
that little
Watch.
kid.
Oh,
Yo, that kid earned it. He 100% earned
This-
it.
No, not the kid that stabbed the other guy. The kid that snitched on Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Oh,
No,
Oh,
I'm
the
just
little
kidding.
bird.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So many
Um,
kids.
I like the stabby kid.
Savvy kid, new hand of the king.
Yeah.
um, let's transition to Decay Watch, our favorite segment of the podcast. So, we see two fingers kind of completely gone.
So
It's
they
still
were-
just
They were gone last episode, the two, because of the
Mhm.
glove incident, but they weren't that like.
I thought it
like
was
further.
I thought it
up
was
his hand.
one.
No,
I thought
it
it was just one.
To me, it looked like both of them last episode.
Okay, I'll have to go look. But he's got like all the sores on his back now. We're in episode 1. He had the little small one.
He has them all
Man.
over his arms, and like the one on his back that was low on his back is like now this big. Like it's gotten progressively bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
I'm thinking penis sore. I'm thinking it falls off.
yo,
we're
like,
hoping.
how long?
Allison hoping.
Yeah. That's why she was like brushing him off, and she was trying to get like a cultures to then like pet. Anyway.
Yeah, she's like, these bitches are not cleaning this right because I gotta have sex with this guy. Get out.
Yeah.
Let me clean this shit.
I don't want him
Yeah.
leaking on me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so
Maybe
we
that's
see
why
it on-
like she's plastered to the bed is like shit. She can't like reach up.
Doesn't
and
want to
grab.
feel the
She doesn't want
sores.
pus all over her forearms and shit.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's gross. Because it's like on his back.
disgusting.
It's on
House of
his
the
hand, it's on
Dragon
his-
after dark.
It's on his like forearms. I assume it's got to be on his torso, his front torso, right?
It's already
Like,
taken his left nip.
Oh,
is it on his legs?
dude's gross.
Is it on his dong? I don't know, man. But
But
Can't wait to
she messed up, right? Because they're cleaning him. She's like, no, let me do it. I need to do this right. And he got turned on by that.
100%.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why.
No good
Again,
deed
yeah.
goes
She was
unpunished.
regretting it in the bed. She was like, fuck, I shouldn't have.
Allison playing the role of a good wife, a good queen. Even though she probably didn't want to do that. She knows like what she needs to do. And then final scene we cut to the Grand Maester. I can't remember his name. Not Lewin, that's from Game of Thrones. But he gives
Abortion
Rhaenyra
tea.
an abortion potion, as I said, abortion. But yeah, it was like some sort of tea that was supposed to kind of take care of business as
Does she drink it?
Does she drink it? And is she even pregnant? Like, we don't even know if she's even pregnant.
I mean, she had sex.
Yeah,
She's got to protect
Yeah,
herself.
but didn't Kristen Cole pull? But
no, he did not. Like, there's no way she.
you don't
was
think he did?
No. The
No.
That
pull
was
and
his
pray
first
method is-
time.
yeah,
That was his first time.
he had a law of chastity.
You think he had the restraint to just be like, let me pull out?
Yeah, I don't know how verbose the sex education was back in those days for Westeros. Probably not great.
Not.
He probably got
But,
5 months
Especially
in
for,
and then
like-
just like
do we think she's pregnant? Do we think she's pregnant, y'all?
no, but I also think
do
she
we
took
do we think she drank the tea?
yeah.
Well, so
And
she
is her drinking the tea, like, are they gonna check? And then they're gonna be like, "Oh, you did sleep with Daemon," you know? Like, I don't know.
Ooh,
that's I didn't think about that.
that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Because like that's an indication. Oh, she drank it.
Oh, dude, I didn't even think about that. Wow. Yeah, I wonder. Like, I can't remember what he said, but like, yeah, too much can like kill
if it's
you
not
or hurt
brewed
you.
properly, it can
No,
kill
yeah,
you.
if it's
enough
not
won't
brewed
do it.
properly, she
But
the
I
tea
wonder.
should have been fine.
I wonder what happens if she's not pregnant and she drinks it. Like, I don't know, like what happens with that. But
I don't know what.
It gets a bad
tea
taste of the
is.
runs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's an interesting wrinkle. I didn't think about the fact that if she like, yeah, then that would.
Are they
prove
gonna come
validity.
back and check?
Yeah, I
She'd
don't
be
know.
like, "No, I dumped it out. I don't need that shit."
I chucked it out.
But
the
she
window.
drank it.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough. All right, so yeah, that's the end of kind of the little plot by plot breakdown. Do we have any final closing thoughts on this episode / what we anticipate for the next episode, and just a general future of the season? Chance, I'll start with you.
I really think that the first couple episodes. I'm just gonna start with this part. The first couple of episodes, I thought we were gonna get to older Rhaenyra a lot quicker, but now that we're at episode 4, and it doesn't seem like we're gonna have that time jump anytime soon. I'm actually pretty stoked that we get to see her at this young age for so long, and it's like see her mature as this person. And I'm really excited to see how she handles next episode, going to Market Town, and like how Viserys handles the meeting with Corlys. That has me really interested, but I'm also like more interested than ever to see what Daemon's whole thing is. Like, what is he getting at? Where is he going with this? Like, he's, as much as I want to think he's just shooting from the hip, like this all has to be for something. Like, he wouldn't cause trouble for a reason. And so I'm just trying to, I don't know if he's going to make a run for the throne, but then also the way, like, he very clearly fucked with their ship on his way in. Like, he didn't hit it, but like he like sent that air gust like as they pulled up, and it like rocked the ship. He just there was a purpose with him being so flagrant this episode.
He buzzed the tower like Top Gun Maverick did,
Yeah.
Like
That is such a good one. He buzzed the
Vegas,
tower.
Vegas, what do you think about this episode, and anything to anticipate going forward?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think Daemon right now for me is a huge wild card. What is he doing? Are his moves calculated, or is he just winging it? What's going on? He's so confusing to me. And I don't know what his motivations are, what his goals are. To me, the episode, it felt like everything was planned, but like talking it out with you guys, I'm just confused. I'm excited to see what Daemon decides to do next episode, and whether, obviously the whole proposal didn't go through, but is there a thing going on? Is he going to try and sneak back and like get with Rhaenyra again? Was that just like a one-time thing? I have no clue. And I'm also curious to see what happens with this engagement with Rhaenyra. And I was very excited for this sex episode. So
chock full.
Good one. It was a good one.
People were like all over each other in every
There was
element.
sex
It was
everywhere.
Yeah.
Dick and
Stranger
balls.
sex.
There was that one dude.
everywhere.
He was just like
Awkward
sitting there,
sex.
and he was just like.
His flaccid thing is just there.
There was even a little sex in the play when he pulled out like the rope dick.
Yeah.
Just great stuff.
I was
Great
like, is this
stuff.
guy gonna like just whip out his like real thing?
I feel like that's what they were
mean,
playing with. Is like we were expecting him to like really pull
Yeah.
out, and then it was a rope one, so we're all like, oh.
Yeah.
They didn't
Gosh.
escape it for long though.
And that city, just in general, is just fucking nuts. I'm like, can I visit?
Yeah.
Like, there's just tight roping going on. A bitch telling your future. Like, everybody's wild in the streets.
Oh, the freaking like seer with no eyes, dude. That was a crazy like imagery, dude. Like, that
Yeah.
was wild. That was wild.
What do they call the? It starts with an O. The Oracle, like
Yeah.
sea and everything. Yeah. Her
It was a
eyes-
good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think the thing. Yeah, I like just wrap
For
it.
me, I really like corn. Corn. Every time someone says for me, I'm like, God damn,
I like corn. I
goes
like
right in
corn.
my head.
It's got the juice.
Like I said earlier, like this wasn't like nothing shocking happened, nothing dramatic happened, but almost like like baking something or like brewing
A
something.
lot of
like
imagery.
there was just like a very long, slow process here that's setting up, I think, a bunch of potential future events that could potentially happen.
Mhm.
I think the thing I'm most intrigued by going forward is the Rhaenyra match, just from the political position of that, what that means for her claim, what that means for the Valerian family, and then for like Daemon's kind of whole deal, all that stuff. The second thing, yeah, is what's Daemon up to? Like, so
What's he doing?
again, like last episode and then the episode before, I was like, what's his next play? Like, what can he even do? Like, I don't know. But then he's just done crazy things that have
Yeah.
either gotten him some flowers for defeating the crab feeder, and yeah, I don't know what he's gonna do. He did kind of look like a Sith Lord with his hood on. He looked like Palpatine a little bit
With Anakin behind you.
Yeah, dude. Like, I just don't know what he's up to.
Oh my
Like,
God.
he's so nice. Wearing a Star Wars shirt. Let's go. I don't know what he's up to.
Shirt.
I don't know what he's up to.
Nerds.
Like, what's he gonna do? I don't know. He's gonna do something we know for sure. But it's just unpredictable. Then third, I think.
What a character. What a character.
Yeah. Again, he's George R. R. Martin's favorite Targaryen. Like,
Really?
out of all, because he's so morally gray. Like he's very virtuous. Like, what was that quote I said from George a few weeks ago? Like, he's like the most like virtuous, but he's also the most cunning, or something like that. Like, he is on both ends of like that spectrum of morality. So I don't know what he's gonna do. Super fascinating to find out. And then I'm excited to see the fallout with Otto. Like, just axing your hand like that. Like, what is that gonna do with the whole Alicent relationship with Viserys, Rhaenyra, her dad? Like, is she gonna like stick with the Targaryens and be like, I don't know you kind of thing? I don't know. Like, that's gonna obviously cause some trouble, but very interested to find out. Next episode is called We Light the Way. So I don't know what that means. But I think it has something to do with
Sword Kid comes back? No, I'm just kidding.
I think it has something to do with the Faith of the Seven. So I wonder what
Or
that
some
could,
dragon shit.
could be something with dragons. I don't know what that's gonna be. That's gonna be fascinating. But thanks for
We light the
everybody.
way.
Thanks for everybody who tuned in. We have these episodes coming out each and every Monday morning, so make sure you got the subscribe button. Make sure you got the podcast notifications on lock. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.